Hello and welcome, I'm Olis Gerjuk and you're watching Head to Head with UATV. Today we're talking about the innovative financial instrument called Green Homes and Green Mortgage and its possibilities to be infused into Ukraine's energy efficiency sector. Over the past few years, so-called green finance has become an important trend that is increasing investments into environmentally responsible projects while reducing financial risk. So how does this program work in Ukraine? To answer this question, we welcome to our studio today Stephen Bornsamp, Project Director of Smarter Finance for Families. Hello and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. So could we start with some explanation for the audience? What is this program about?
Sure. So there's really two parts. There's as you mentioned, the Green Homes and Green Mortgage program, which will be a series of local programs to look at what homes are green in a country, and then to signal to the bank that they should be deserving of special financing. Just as we tax vodka and water differently in most countries, because one has potential negativity and some is generally considered healthy, the same concept for finance that we look for buildings. So this is one concept, and then there's a greater project to replicate and to support working with organizations, including the European Ukrainian Energy Agency here, to work together to support each other in the implementation.
So as far as I understand, this is some kind of certification of certain homes, whether they're green or not, and what happens next. If they're green, if they do have this certificate, if they obtain it, they can apply for some kind of loan with low interest for some kind of mortgage?
Exactly, exactly. And the idea being, if you build your home green or you purchase a green home...
So you have to present a project?
Yes, so the builder would build, typically the builder would build to our Green Homes certification standard, and we work with them to guide them in that process. But once they do, then the buyers can, to buy that home, they take a mortgage, and the theory is that because the home is green, it has lower cost profiles every month, and the building quality is much better. The asset value, the home values are much higher, so it's significantly less risky for the bank. So this is the reason the bank can actually offer a slightly discounted mortgage, which allows you to borrow more money to do the green investment without increasing your monthly cost.
Could you please explain once again, why is it less risky for the banks?
Generally, with the energy payments are reduced for green homes significantly, and repair cost, health cost, many other cost profile related to a house are reduced. That means you have more money in your pocket every month to return money to the bank. And to give you an example, one of the programs we started in Romania, one of our first projects delivered 2 mortgage payments worth of energy savings every year. So that means effectively that buyer is paying only 10 mortgage payments per year compared to the average person paying 12. So you can imagine that's obviously great for the buyer.
And how low is the interest?
In this case, it's, if we say the average interest is 5.5%, our program, the initial partner, we did 4.75. So literally a 0.75% reduction, which was quite significant.
Are we talking right now about Romania or Ukraine?
This was local currency loans in Romania, but the same principles would be applied across all markets.
So can we say that in Ukraine the interest would be the same, 4.75%, or the formula would be changed a little bit?
Well, so the average, the market rate in Ukraine we know is much higher. So the program would obviously provide a discount on top of that, so it would be better than the rate, but it may be, if the average rate was 15%, it may be 13% or similar. But this will be up to the banks to decide. Our job is basically to demonstrate to them through not only our work in one country, but across all of these countries, and we're collecting all of the data to show them that their risk falls, and there's many benefits as far as the quality of the projects, of the companies involved, etc., that gives them the rationale to lower their interest rate.
Are we talking about cooperation with all banks nationwide?
It's absolutely open. So what's important is that the bank basically commits to one of two things. Either they trust us and our program to help them determine if a home is green and energy efficient, or they come up with their own program to convince us that that their method that they do in-house is adequate. So either one is perfectly fine. But with that said, any bank in the country is welcome to do it and encouraged to take further action.
As far as I know, this project was launched in Ukraine in May. How many banks are showing the interest of participating in this program as of now?
I would say I won't mention names just out of privacy for the business discussion. But we have two very significant banks that have expressed significant interest in moving forward. And I think just the general discussions across Europe with our project, even before the project began, we received letters of interest from 10 major banks and 20 real estate developers in all of the countries, and we had yet started. So we're very optimistic that it's going to expand quickly.
So as far as I understand, this program aims to benefit, on the first place, people who are interested in mortgage, and on the second place, maybe construction companies. But then I would ask you maybe to provide more explanation, how would these construction companies benefit if they apply their project to be green?
Sure. So the challenge, if a company is producing superior quality green products or services, they have a challenge if the customers, or whether it be the project developers building the project or the end customer, the citizens buying the home, if they don't understand the benefit, then they're going to struggle if their product has a slightly higher price, or perhaps maybe it's not the usual construction approach. It requires training and time invested and different things. So what we want to do is by basically recognizing and helping the project developers convince citizens that the benefits are real and that they can trust that those benefits will come. That will facilitate the market for all of the companies involved in the process.
So basically, this real estate that is green is easier to buy.
Absolutely.
It's cheaper to buy.
Yes.
But who would provide this certification? What kind of agencies or facilities would provide these construction companies, or maybe Actually, there is another question. Can residents apply for participation in this program with their own project?
So in theory, yes. I mean, there's two pieces. There's the energy audit, which is mandatory, and then there's what we call the non-energy green criteria, and that's what we're implementing now in Ukraine and all these other countries. So the energy audit is simple. They could, just like they would do today, they could order this, and they would have to score sufficiently highly. Please.
It's energy efficiency. We're talking about energy. Energy audit is about auditing for energy efficiency,
yes,
right?
Correct.
What about non-energy audit, non-energy green audit?
Yeah, so I would say that is what our organization, that's what we're doing in Romania. That's what we're working with the Ukrainian and European European Ukrainian Energy Agency here locally to implement that capability. And without going into all the details, we're also it's an international project, so our expertise amongst all our partners is being shared so that we can bring to those project developers, not only do we set the criteria and tell them what they need to do, but we guide them, we help them reach that in this pilot phase. And then of course, that becomes more localized. Now, to your question about as far as an individual family, the challenge becomes that the work to certify and to understand if a project is green or not is the same whether you do one house or maybe 100 apartments. So with 100 apartments, you can spread the cost. So right. I would say, as far as our initial target, we're really probably better looking at multifamily housing in the beginning, and actually, in my opinion, this is a really good rationale for state support. Could be helping those single-family homes achieve certification so that they don't bear the cost, because we have to do the work, and we want to do it credibly. So we don't want to make it a burden, but at the same time, we want to make sure it means something, and to do that, we need the right experts.
Do you see a request for building greenhouses in Ukraine?
What I would say is I see a lot of similarities to where we were in Romania a few years ago, and we were told often all of the challenges and that very few people would appreciate this in Romania, and it's been I think a fantastic success. And the very fact that there's very significant differences in the quality of projects means there's a high demand for helping sort out which are the better projects for citizens.
So we're talking about better quality for less money.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, this is good. This sounds very impressive, and it's good that there is such an initiative, such a project in Ukraine. Speaking of Romania, could you tell us how many houses have you built already in the framework of this project?
Sure. So we have about 25 project developers, signed agreements with them. I believe we have about 1,000 certifications complete, meaning the projects are complete. And when I say 1,000, those are individual units, whether it's an apartment in a multifamily or a single-family home. And then about 6,500 in total under agreement. So they haven't yet been built, but they are on the way to being built, and they've agreed to meet our standard. So about 10% market share in Romania, but more interestingly, as far as the best, most professional builders, the ones that really have been on the market for a while and are let's say long-term players, we have about an 80% that have adopted this. So things are, I think, looking very strong.
And this is the result since 2007?
I would say 2007, but after the financial crisis, we really had probably a 4 or 5 year break where builders didn't want to build, banks didn't want to finance, so we in a way, we were quite stuck, but we were able to use the time to actually envision the program, and I think made it the time and the fact that everybody was thinking about the crisis and how can we get out of it and how can we do better. It was really a nice opportunity to improve the program.
Speaking about Ukraine, this project was launched 3 months ago. After 3 months operating in Ukraine, do you see any sort of interest or maybe deeper interest from the Ukrainian construction companies in participation in this project?
So what I would say is, we have multiple stakeholders we're approaching: the banks, the construction companies, the investors, developers, and basically everybody else. So we haven't yet really reached out to explain the details, precisely because we wanted to have the toolkit that we will translate into Ukrainian available. It is I would say, if anyone was interested today, we can support them with the initial tools. I think they're very good, and we can work with any differences from the local situation. But come November, we will have properly researched, thoroughly prepared toolkits so people can start. But we can have conversations today if they're interested.
Well, yes, and I think we're spreading information right now about this program. Yes. Well, thank you so much for explaining this interesting initiative. I hope that it's going to bloom in Ukraine. And thank you so much for being a guest today in our studio.
Great. Thank you.
That was Stephen Bornsamp, Project Director of Smarter Finance for Families. Thank you for watching Head to Head. I'm Oles Gerjuk. Goodbye.